Being the president of a country is a big and important role. The current president of the U.S. is President Joe Biden. Joe Biden became the 46th president of the United States in January 2021. Most of the presidents since 1929 have been rich, and some extremely wealthy, having a net worth in the billions. George Washington was the first ever president of the United States on April 30, 1789. He had a net worth in the hundreds of millions and isn't even the wealthiest president on our list. The annual salary for the President of the United States is $400,000. Not all of the former presidents were rich, and some became rich during their presidency. In this video, we will look at some of the wealthiest presidents to ever have lived. Stay tuned to find out the crazy net worth of Donald Trump, who is the richest former president as of 2021. Before we begin, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video from us. Number 10. Bill Clinton. At number 10 on our list, we have Bill Clinton. He had an impressive net worth of $75.9 million. He was the 42nd President of America during the years 1993 to 2001. Bill Clinton was born on August 19, 1946. His birthplace was Hope, Arkansas. Bill Clinton made most of his money after leaving the White House. He released an autobiography in 2005 called My Life, which made him the bulk of his wealth. The book was a bestseller and sold over 2.3 million copies. Bill Clinton made over $15 million from that book alone. His wife was wealthy too, which also boosted his wealth. His wife is the former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. She has a net worth of $14 million. The couple have made millions in public speaking events, and to this day, Bill Clinton is still an active public speaker. Number 9. Herbert Hoover. Next on our list, we have Herbert Hoover. Herbert Hoover was the 31st President of the U.S. from the years 1929 to 1933. Herbert Hoover was born on the 10th of August, 1874, and died on the 20th of October, 1964. He had a peak net worth of $83 million, which is amazing considering he was truly self-made. He was an orphan when he was only 6 years old. His father died of a heart attack, and 3 years later, his mother sadly passed away from pneumonia and typhoid fever. Hoover graduated from Stanford and worked as a mining engineer before even considering politics. Most of his wealth comes from his mining engineering books and the several silver mines he acquired. Hoover was a self-made millionaire who came from humble beginnings and donated his presidential salary to charity. Hoover was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 5 times, as he was recognized as a great humanitarian. The U.S. government recruited Hoover to deliver food to Belgium, where 7 million faced starvation. Hoover later then started the American Relief Administration, which delivered food to tens of millions of people in over 20 war-torn countries. Number 8. Lyndon B. Johnson. At number 8 on our list, we have Lyndon B. Johnson. Lyndon B. Johnson was the 36th President of the U.S. from the years 1963 to 1969. He had an outstanding peak net worth of $109.3 million, which is a ridiculous amount of money to have. However, this doesn't even come close to the richest former president. Keep watching to find out how crazy rich the wealthiest former president is. He was born on the 27th of August, 1908, and died on the 22nd of January, 1973, at age 64. Johnson was a hard-working and ambitious young man without much money until he married Claudia Taylor, or better known, the Lady Bird, who came from a wealthy family in Texas. Together, they owned livestock and 607 hectares of land in Texas. However, the main source of income was the Lady Bird radio station. Johnson's first career was a teacher. He left his brief career as a teacher after 4 years to pursue politics during the Great Depression. Number 7. James Madison. James Madison was the 4th President of the U.S. from the years 1809 to 1817. He was born on March 16, 1751, and died on June 28, 1836. James Madison had a peak net worth of $113.3 million. Madison came from an extremely wealthy family, and his parents owned several hectares of land. Madison built the famous Montpelier estate, which was located in Orange County, Virginia. This was the plantation house of the Madison family. However, Madison started to lose money toward the end of his life because the plantation was not successful, and his stepson lost a lot of cash due to his bad drinking and gambling habits. Madison did not have a lot of hobbies. He used to play chess and read Latin and Greek literature in their original languages in his spare time. Number 6. Andrew Jackson. Next on our list, we have Andrew Jackson, who was the 7th President of the U.S. from the years 1829 to 1837. Andrew Jackson was born on March 15, 1767, and died on June 8, 1845. Jackson was one of the few U.S. presidents who wasn't born into a wealthy family. He was an American lawyer and soldier and made his money through that. Before he was elected as the President of the U.S., he was very well known as he was a general in the U.S. Army and served in both houses of the U.S. Congress. Jackson had a peak net worth of $132.6 million, but most of it was inherited from his wife as she came from a wealthy family. His wife Rachel died shortly before Jackson became president. In 1835, Jackson was confronted by an assassin and Jackson beat him up. He met the assassin as he was leaving the funeral held at the Capitol. The man fired a pistol which misfired. Jackson started beating him with his cane. The assassin pulled out a second pistol which also misfired. Number 5. Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt is the 5th richest former president on our list. Theodore Roosevelt was the 26th president of the U.S. from the years 1901 to 1909. Theodore Roosevelt was born on October 27, 1858, and died on January 6, 1919. He had a peak net worth of $139.7 million and mostly inherited the money of his wealth from a large trust fund. He didn't do much to try to increase his wealth. Roosevelt spent a lot of his adult life in public service as he was elected to the New York State Assembly at 23. Roosevelt had an excellent memory which helped his passion in writing. He wrote 35 books and wrote an estimated 150,000 letters. Roosevelt graduated from Harvard but dropped out of law school at Columbia, which makes him a college dropout. Roosevelt lost interest in law and gained a newfound interest in politics. Roosevelt was also blind in one eye after a boxing injury during his presidency. He continued his hobby of boxing well into his presidency and suffered a detached retina in 1908 after a boxing match. He then stopped boxing and switched to jiu-jitsu instead. Number 4. Thomas Jefferson. The 3rd president of the U.S. was Thomas Jefferson. He was the president from 1801 to 1809. Thomas Jefferson was born April 13, 1743, and died on the 4th of July in 1826. He had a peak net worth of $263.8 million. Jefferson was born wealthy as he inherited 1,200 hectares of land in Virginia from his father. He then added another 809 hectares to his great real estate portfolio. Jefferson really enjoyed reading as his library had over 6,500 books. Jefferson was a musician. He took violin lessons when he was a child. He spent a considerable amount of time studying the musical instrument. Jefferson also loved stargazing as much as he liked reading. Because of his love for astronomy, he made sure it was taught in the University of Virginia. Jefferson remained wealthy for most of his life, but was deeply in debt before he died. Jefferson was a big spender and always spent beyond his means. This, coupled with unreliable income coming from his farms, led to him having a lot of debt before his death. Number 3. George Washington. George Washington was the first ever president of the U.S. He was the nation's first president from 1789 to 1797. George Washington was born from a very wealthy family and he inherited a very large fortune. He also earned good money from when he was a general. George Washington's salary in 1789 was $25,000, which was 2% of the entire U.S. budget. George Washington was born on February 22, 1732, and died on December 14, 1799. Washington's formal schooling ended when he was 11 after his father died. He was meant to study abroad in England, but his father's death sealed that opportunity. His mother never remarried and taught him how to run a tobacco farm. When he was 16, he took his first job as a land surveyor. George Washington had a peak net worth of $587 million, which is a ridiculous amount of money to have. Even so, his massive net worth doesn't come close to the richest former president. Keep watching to find out. Number 2. John F. Kennedy. At number 2 on our list, we have John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy, or more commonly known as JFK, was the 35th U.S. president from the years 1961 to 1963. JFK was born on May 29, 1917, and died on November 22, 1963. JFK was born into wealth. His father, Joe Kennedy, was one of the richest men in the U.S., and he made his money through investing and banking. Kennedy inherited his father's massive fortune. Kennedy's wife, Jackie, was also extremely rich, as she inherited many oil plantations. JFK's presidency was cut short because of his assassination in 1963 in Dallas, Texas. JFK is the second wealthiest former president, and he sits around $1.1 billion. Number 1. Donald J. Trump. Finally, at number 1 on our list, we have Donald Trump. He is by far the richest president on our list, and he has a net worth of $3.1 billion. He was the 45th president of the U.S. from the years 2017 to 2021. Donald Trump was born into wealth and inherited over $400 million from his father. He managed to become even richer when he took over his father's real estate business and now has billions of dollars in real estate. He was well known before becoming president, as he used to host the American TV series The Apprentice. He was born on June 14, 1946 in New York. Trump Tower is probably the most famous real estate he owns. It is located in Manhattan, and it is the headquarters of the Trump Organization and has over 58 floors. Trump Tower is worth about $300 million. These are the 10 richest former U.S. presidents to have ever lived. What do you think of their crazy wealth? Do you think one person should have that much money? Make sure to let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe and turn on those post notifications. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.